marked the second round of No Kings protests. Back in June, demonstrators showed up to protest the Trump administration. SNAP users account for 20% of all grocery store sales in Massachusetts. He's one of the first to donate his brain to the Unite Brain Bank, which is owned and operated by Boston University's medical campus here. The report says that daily physical activity, like hopping on the rowing machine, can reduce your risk of cancer. If you're coming to the event, you might want to get your elbows ready because there's expected to be over 325,000 spectators. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. A Boston University student says he called ICE for months on employees at this car wash before it was raided on November 4th. This is Ted Johnson now. But before we knew him as this, he was this. And at this age, he didn't know what was in store for him, just that he loved football.
If I didn't get a scholarship to go play football, it'd be terrifying to think where I would have gone, which direction in my life. The day I signed my letter of intent to play football at University of Colorado was the happiest day of my life.
To the outside world, he was at the top of his game. 10 seasons with the Patriots, 125 regular season games, and 3 Super Bowl rings. But to himself, he was at rock bottom.
I retired basically in the summer of 2005 because my head hurt, and I knew something wasn't right. Those subconcussive hits was changing my personality. It was impacting my cognitive abilities, and it was just impacting my overall well-being.
Johnson was known for his hard-hitting style.
We've never seen anything like this.
But he said eventually it caught up to him. He said he feared being vocal about his injury would make him unemployable.
The fact that we don't get guaranteed contracts, the fact that you are constantly singing for your supper creates a dynamic in which there's secrecy and guys don't want to talk about their problems because if they do, that'll be used against you in your contract negotiation.
Leading up to the 2004 Super Bowl against the Carolina Panthers, he took his first pill.
Needed 10 the next time, 20 the next time, 40 the next time, and then at the end of the height of my addiction to the stimulants, I was up to 400, 500, 600 milligrams a day.
Johnson was addicted to Adderall, then cocaine, for 10 years.
There was not information out when I was playing in college or in the NFL about post-concussion syndrome, traumatic brain injury, second impact syndrome. So there wasn't a lot of information out there, or at least it wasn't being filtered down to the players.
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, is a rare brain disease caused by repetitive head impacts, not just from hits that produce concussions.
When you hit your head, your brain goes back and forth, that becomes vulnerable to injury.
Johnson says he's one of the first to donate his brain to the Unite Brain Bank, which is owned and operated by Boston University's medical campus here. At this bank, there are over 1,700 brains that have been donated, with more than 800 having been diagnosed with CTE. When speaking out, Johnson says he represents the NFL's biggest fear, but that fans are the only ones that can make change.
It's never going to change when you're talking about the money that's involved. The fans say to the NFL, I'm not watching this sport until you take this concussion crisis serious.
We reached out to the NFL and the NFL Players Association, and this is what they told us. They essentially agreed that the health and safety of players needs to improve. Since 2020, the NFL told us they've invested $2 billion into long-term care programs and health benefits for players.
I fight for the little guy. I don't like people that abuse their power.
Johnson says football both saved his life and tore him down. By advocating, he wants to share in his happy ending. For BNN, I'm Mihm. In a sea of pink, along the Charles River Esplanade, everyone walks with someone in mind. Many women even walk for themselves.
I'm trying to, of course, hide my pain in front of my friends and family, but it's pain you cannot describe. It's loss that you're not being prepared for.
3 years ago, Dr. Charlotte de Broadbent's career hit new heights. At 34 years old, a job promotion in the digital supply chain industry brought her to Boston. 6 weeks later, Charlotte was diagnosed with the second known case of a rare breast cancer.
No one ever in my family experienced cancer before. I've never even met anybody with cancer in my life.
Within hours of the diagnosis, her doctors rushed to start chemotherapy, leaving Charlotte to decide on receiving treatment in Boston instead of returning home to Switzerland.
The hospital afterwards Made a poster case study about it just because we were tapping in the unknown and we couldn't use the ordinary treatment. We had to imitate clinical trials for this very, very rare cancer.
The National Breast Cancer Foundation says that 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. In 2025 alone, that's over 300,000 people. The Trump administration terminated over $1.8 billion in grant money in May, affecting research leading up to clinical trials. Rare cancers, like Charlotte's, require continued research so that survival rates for future patients can be improved. Harvard cancer researcher Joan Brugge says some advancements are now in jeopardy.
It doesn't just affect the institution. It has really significant effects on the American public. And, so we want to avoid there being political issues that are interfering with research.
Early detection saves lives. Early detection would have prevented me from having had this diagnosis.
For BNN, I'm Mihm.